time periods and stuff like that. And President Obama being there, and this may surprise a lot of people, but I was delighted to see President Bush there, you know, because I felt that meant better for President Obama, for him to even be there. I was delighted, and I don't think a lot of people were, but it didn't have a problem with that because I felt him being there, it meant that President Obama was safer. Also, I sent President Obama all of my research that I have done on Selma. You know, also, let me not leave this part of my heritage out. I'm a descendant down the line of Chief Tuscaloosa. And Chief Tuscaloosa used to go through what you would call then Selma. That's Choctaw for Selma.
Selma.
Yes, and Selma was once a Native American throne, you know, in that area, and he would travel through there from Tuscaloosa, going down to Mobile to meet Hernandez de Soto. This is back in the 1500s. And to me, it's important to know all aspects of history in order to appreciate it. And the way they have perpetuated it, it makes it looks like it is all time. That's it. Everything is a center of it, and it is not. And Dr. Haney, you know, this may not be popular either, but I was one of the first people to write, and my life is a counter-narrative of the civil rights era. In this regard, I have thought that the black people have become too dependent on the vote and not the church. You know, they have compromised to what the church was for the vote. You know, and you can't get them to discuss these things. I can't get any of the, what do you call the senior citizens, elder council of the civil rights movement to talk to me about these things. Because see, I'm a reminder of what the elders told them, that they had went about getting their rights the wrong way. You know, so we got to look at both. But when you celebrate something, you know, how can you celebrate something when you know the truth about something that hadn't been told fully? But that's the ceremonial aspect of those. And the other aspect of this, I believe that all the African American companies who have profited off of the emotions of the civil rights movement, especially the press, radio, they should be required to give half of their fortune to help less fortunate African American people. Because see, I grew up like the people in Selma classroom who couldn't concentrate in class. The kids, when I would get ready to read, the kids would be tickling because they knew I didn't know phonics, didn't know how to make sounds of no word. All these memories are in your head, and when the kids was affected by the movement, and think about Ferguson today. You have them out there, and they said that a lot of times, a couple of days, the kids were not able to get their lunches at school. And humorously, when I was in kindergarten, Dr. Haney, I thought the purpose for me going to school was
to get
was to eat my lunch. No, I had a lunch. I thought the purpose for me to go was to eat.
That's why you ate. That's why you ate. You serve your lunch.
Look, yeah, I got my lunch. I carried my lunch with me, and I thought the purpose of going to school was to have lunch. That's what I was waiting on, you know. But at the same time, you know, all of these things are areas which we have got to address. And the other thing is customer service. When President Obama signed the MLK holiday into law, I said then somebody needed to issue a warning in customer service across the country. I know how bad customer service was then. That was 1984, and this is 2015 today. So these are areas in which they said good customer service is America's future. And when you have good customer service in place, everything runs well. And I have even written President Obama about creating a multicultural customer service program where each business will have people in there who are of the nationality of the people that are in the city. That in this way would create more jobs, I think, you know, and we are getting ready to go into the 21st century. And how can we go further into the 21st century without good customer service, you know? And a lot of the people in the movement, the African American, the civil rights movement, they have got to get past that time period of being on the bridge. And, you know, and when I went to school at Selma University, I walked across the bridge, but I never attended any of the marches. I didn't go to Brown Chapel Church, any of those things. I stayed my space because I knew what I was suffering from the side effect of Tuscaloosa's 63 march. And Claude Brown, one of the fellows that the YMCA is named for, he was said that the kids leaving the schools for the march would undermine them when it comes to education. And all of these things need to be addressed, and I'm hoping that this will be the time that those things will be addressed now that they've gone through this 50-year period. And I heard President Obama say during his presidential State of the Union, said that after you do things 50 years and you keep repeating it over and again, getting the same thing, it's time to change, you know? But I'm delighted. I was really encouraged, pleased to see him there. You know, that was such a great moment in history for him to be there addressing the Edmunds Pettus Bridge. And see, I grew up in Tuscaloosa in a multicultural community. There were Choctaw Indians, we had 2 Koreans, there were Africans at Stillman College, there were Caucasians in the community. So I have a multicultural community background. We were worshiping in Southern Baptist churches. A Reverend H.O. Hester, Southern Baptist preacher, was coming to preach at our church, you know. And so I'm used to interacting with all a multiplicity of races at one time, because that was the way I grew up. And I had the opportunity, the minister recently mentioned to me that some kids wanted to communicate with Dr. C.T. Vivian. I've been communicating a lot with him, and he tells me that the ministry that you see going on now in America are the ministries of Dr. M.L.K. Jr. But these kids need to know also other sides of ministries too, you know.
And so this was a great opportunity over the last half minute that we have. This was a great opportunity to at least highlight the struggle that Africans have had and still have in terms of getting out and actually voting and finding out that their votes really matter. Is that what we're
Well, I would say so, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Dr. Haney. You know, whether I be back on your show or not. But when it comes to the voting, I miss sometimes to vote myself.
Well, and of course, let's simply end this today by simply encouraging everybody, including folks that I know who might not vote, to go out and vote. And let me appreciate you for coming by and giving us that excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.